Welcome to Girls in My by Katherine Lu. I'm your hostess, Katherine Lu, and for our spotlight speaker today, we have Alix Edmiston, the author of Immortals Secret, a novel that has drawn readers into a world of secrets, immorality, and adventure. So, hi Alix, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm good. How are you? I'm so thrilled to be here.
Thank you. I'm good too. Just a little brief introduction of your book.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my book is about two of my favorite topics, Catherine, immortality and art. And essentially, I created this character. His name is Dr. Benjamin Mann. He is a curator at the Louvre in Paris, which is one of my favorite places. And he has undergone cancer treatment. And once he completes his cancer treatment, he finds out that his grandfather has disappeared. And this is the person that he loves more than anyone in the entire world, because he kind of had a childhood with a bit of trauma, and now he's just kind of, it sort of moved into his adult life. So he's 40 years old. So he hasn't sort of felt like he's lived the type of good life that he wanted to. So he's convinced that he really wants to find his grandfather. Everybody says, while you're in treatment, he's gone. I don't know why you're wasting your time. We've kind of looked up under every stone, and so he's not there. And we haven't been able to find him. So what happens is Benjamin says he's convinced that this portrait, which was a prized possession of his grandfather, called the Immortal, holds the secrets to what happened. And part of that is him being weakened by the cancer drug. So he's not kind of in a good place health-wise. And so he rips the portrait open from her frame. And inside he finds a golden book. And it's a golden book of immortality. And his grandfather has been searching for this book. This was kind of his grandfather's mission in life. To find this golden book. So Benjamin is sure he's onto something. So the book kind of sets him off on this journey across Europe to many of my favorite places. Like it starts out in Toronto, where Benjamin was getting treated. Then it's in Paris at the Louvre. And then we go to Venice and we go to Istanbul. And then it ends up, we sort of find out what happens. We uncover the secret, although there's lots of secrets in the book, in the Sinai Desert. So, and it also has a lot of spirituality in it. And that's why that's why the Sinai Desert is one of my locations.
Wow, that sounds so intriguing. I'm so
Thank you.
excited to read the book.
Thank you. I can't wait for you to read the book and see what you think.
Yes. So my next question is, what inspired you to create this book?
Really what inspired me was primarily ever since I was a kid, I like to write things. I live a lot in my imagination. I have very vivid imagination. And I love to write, Catherine. So I always knew I wanted to write a work of fiction. So it did take me a long time. It took me 10 years, and it's kind of, I'm not that embarrassed because I was working full time while I was doing it. But I really have loved, Paris is really my magical place, and the Louvre. So really what inspired me was the immortality of art, because I'm fascinated by immortality. And obviously you and I were not. We're mortal. We're not immortal. And so I love the immortality of art. I think it's so fascinating when you go into the Louvre and you look at these gorgeous portraits, whether it's by Titian or Rembrandt. And a lot of times you have no idea who that person in the portrait, like it was commissioned, the artist was commissioned to do this noble person, and you have no idea who they are. And we do know a little bit about the Mona Lisa, but truly we don't know that much about her either. And so that really inspired me, and just art in itself and the great masters over the year, and just living a life that is an artistic life and expressing yourself artistically. So really that's what inspired me. Is I just love art, and I've just been fascinated by the whole idea. I guess I've just been fascinated by the idea of, kind of what happens like once we're gone, to like what happens, like we're all gonna it's just this whole idea of, we can't live on, and we are mortal. And so it's just fascinating to kind of think about immortality. What if you could,
Yeah. Thank you so much for your intel on your book. Next is your perspective on teens and the impacts of AI. So,
Oh, no, sorry. I didn't want to cut you off. Sorry.
okay. So my first question is, over the next 2 decades, what role do you expect AI in playing in reshaping industries, and what lasting impact will that have on the next generation's workforce?
Well, I think, it's such a fascinating time right now, Catherine, especially when you look at AI. Like, I personally, in my lifetime, I've never seen anything like this before, as disruptive as this. And I have been working in tech, PR, corporate communications for over 20 years. So I know a lot of people who are in tech. I live and breathe it, right? Through them, right? We like to say it's AI, AI, AI. So right now, one of the things that we often say, I also sit on a Women in the Tech Channel committee, and it's hosted by Microsoft. So I also have a huge community of women who are in tech as well. And one of the things that we say is that it's kind of like a runaway train right now, AI, and it's sort of like the train is left the station. It's sort of moving like a Japanese, the Japanese fast speed trains. So it's moving at breakneck speed. So every kind of we're just seeing it transform and shape shift. But at the same time, we're part of this. We're on this Japanese speed train, right? And so every day you're living it as well. So some of the things that I'm seeing, particularly in my role, is that there's a lot of, we talk about automation, right? And there's a lot of things that it kind of is automating for us because it's doing them for us. So certainly in my job, the things that maybe took you a long time don't take you as long, right? And part of that is for me is research, right? Like even in my book, I did a lot of research for my book. So AI can just it's amazing what kind of research it provides, right? And there's the varies, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Copilot through Microsoft or what have you. So definitely I'm seeing that. I'm also just seeing how it is transforming industries, and people are very, very nervous, right? But at the same time, AI makes us a lot smarter in a way. So I feel like it's going to transform these industries. So in a way where it's taking a lot of maybe the drudgery out of my work, it's also going to take the drudgery, I think, out of businesses. And also, we can't take the human out of the AI, right? So I feel that humans are driving AI. So in a way, it's just this great partnership. Like I see it as, certainly from my perspective, is I have this amazing partner that I can go to that is going to make my job so much, it's going to streamline what I do. But I also think for teens is that it's fascinating because it's transforming industries. So by the time that you being 15, right? Like by the time we kind of, and I'm me saying it's a bullet train out of Japan, it's moving like that. I mean, I think we're really going to be in a good place where a lot of businesses have transformed, because right now we're kind of in that nascent stage where everybody, and I know this through my clients, are sitting down with other clients, giant multinationals, and trying to figure out how is this going to transform my business. So I really feel that when you get to the stage, like the teens today get to the stage where you're out of university and say you're 5 years in university. I spent 5 years in university. I did a psychology degree and then I did a journalism degree. So, you're looking at, say, 10 years down the road for you, if you were like me. So that's a decade, Catherine. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's going to be really fascinating how the companies will have transformed, and we're probably even going to see new roles, new types of roles, which is fascinating as well, that don't exist today, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I was just joking around yesterday with a friend. I said, do you remember when influencer it wasn't our vocabulary, but it didn't mean what it means today, or blogger? Like, no, but those terms didn't exist, like, say, 15 years ago. I would argue, well, I wouldn't say maybe a decade, but they didn't exist, say, 15 years ago. So it is fascinating, like you're going to see all these different, and for you particularly, right? And universities are going to be changing as well. So I'm always the eternal optimist, and I always see the glass half full, right? And so I just think that we live in fascinating times with this. We've just had to get through all those other transformations that I've gone through to get this transformation now that it's like kind of mind-blowing,
Yeah, 100%. I think your experience was so well spoken, and because of this such evolving concepts that abruptly came into the world, I think that it's really important all companies have to quickly adapt to it, and they can also do this by implementing it through their products.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Fascinating.
based on your experience in women in technology as a leading advocate, from your vantage point, is AI more likely to augment human talent or displace it?
I think, as we transform, there might be, with women and doing my work in gender diversity and inclusion and belonging, I do think as we move forward, again, we're going to transform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, it's like every technological innovation, it has certain jobs were left by the wayside, right? But I would say that, again, it's just going to transform in a very interesting way. And so I feel like, there's even going to be more fascinating jobs because, again, humans are going to be leading this AI, right? And so I think in many ways it will be, the jobs will be, in some ways, particularly for women and in roles, management roles or whatever, I think they could be a lot more interesting. I mean, because you kind of have these aids that you never had in the past. You know what I mean, Kathy?
Yeah.
Like, particularly through my life in doing tech and PR, I've always kind of, and this is just the way things have worked out. I've kind of been a one-woman show and working for clients, and so I've kind of done it all, right? Like I do it all. So I think it's going to be really fascinating having these jobs where you're going to be able to collaborate with the AI, right? Mm-hmm. And I really feel like in any discussion and collaboration in business is so fascinating, right? So adding that side, adding the AI to the whole collaborative process that already works out where everybody's sitting around the table, intelligent people trying, because that's what's happening now right now with AI, right? You get the best and the brightest sitting around the table trying to figure out what's going on. So I think in a way that's even going to make it's going to be great for women as well, right? And gives us that differentiator. And I mean, I think as we move forward with AI, we've got to kind of get rid of the bias. So there's still some things in AI, as we move forward, we got to get rid of that bias, to make it, to bring that equity to it, right? So that we're all at the table. But I'm always very excited about the future for women, and this is one technological innovation. And one thing I should say is that women have been involved in AI right from the beginning, and women are starting up AI companies not even knowing how to code. Yeah. And not even having a computer science degree. So that's really fascinating, is that opens the door for women as well, because you don't have that barrier that you didn't go to Waterloo or whatever, right? It's like they're creating things with AI, and because AI is doing the coding, right? So and it sort of simplifies, streamlines the coding. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens there. And in my Microsoft group that I mentioned, the ladies around the table there are very excited as well. Every time we get together, they'll like share things that they did with AI. So, and we all share like what we've done, and then because you just think that's just going to get like we're becoming adept at it, right? Like good at it. And then it'll just get better and better and better, right? So I really feel like it could be the time for women, We might get to that parity faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In which sectors do you expect the biggest distributions, do you think?
I think that tech will be a big one, mm-hmm. But also there's a lot of sectors that are very reliant on processing, and some of the things that AI might be better at doing, and one of them is financial services. I have done a lot of PR in financial services for some of the larger banks, so definitely that. I think that, I mean, it's really kind of, insurance, financial services, tech, but I think even in some of the sectors that are more creative, say filmmaking and, publishing, which I'm part of now with my book. I mean, again, we're looking at that and we sort of feel like, well, AI is going to do everything, right? It's going to put us all out of business. But I think it's just looking for ways where it makes you even, again, it's a tool that makes you even more creative, right? Mm-hmm. And so it gets your brain going, and then you've got AI to, and I don't mean AI in doing your writing or whatever, or writing my book or whatever, but just getting those, again, like we collaborate as humans, right? Like, what about collaborating with AI, right? Mm-hmm. ChatGPT or what have you, and it's like going to be like, I just can't even imagine. It's just like you and I sitting here brainstorming, right? So yeah, so I think I think it's, and again, as we move through those sectors, it'll just be really, as we move through it, we'll see how the changes impact some of the sectors. But I don't know. I think we all just need to, like I say, it's moving really fast. I think all of us, just need to keep a really open mind, and, I'm the eternal optimist, and it's not making me it hasn't made me less of an eternal optimist. And I can't wait to see you in action as this all happens. Because it's so exciting. Your generation, I think, is just what a fascinating time to be 15, honestly, Katherine.
Yeah, I find that like all the new evolving things that are happening now, and that happened also really like suddenly for us, like our generation too.
Yeah.
I think that it's so like surprising how fast the world can change and how fast like such small components can become such big part of our lives now. Okay, thank you so much for your knowledge
You're
and
welcome.
information.
You're welcome.